Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and I've just returned from the 80s cruise. All I can say, it was an incredible week. We went to Cabo San Lucas. We went, oh my God, several ports in Mexico. Incredible. The musical acts on this ship were outstanding. Not one weak band or act in the bunch. So I've got tons of content, and I'd love to start it off with the Behind the Music DEVO interview with Mark Goodman. This happened on Tuesday, March 7th. They talked for about an hour. Here it is. Enjoy. Please like, subscribe. You know the whole routine. And enjoy.
What exactly is that reassessment, and why reassess at this point?
Well, you know, at a certain point, it's futile to resist. And we always included ourselves in the quotient of what we talked about, so we thought, wait a minute, we're in it, we're not getting out, so let's celebrate.
Right, we're going down anyway, let's party.
That's it, it's like the Titanic, keep playing.
I feel as though, maybe Mark, since you have been a progenitor of this along with the rest of the band, can you just give us 2 sentences on de-evolution, and if you would, how has it presented itself in the present?
In 2 sentences?
You can take 4 if you need 4.
Humans are the only unnatural species on the planet.
Okay. Why is that?
That's one sentence.
Why
is it?
Yeah, I don't understand why humans are not natural to the planet.
We're out of touch with nature, without a doubt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This isn't something new that we invented. There's been people worried about this for a long time, and it's just coming to a head, though. We all get to be here for that.
Right, so it's coming to a head. So what does that mean? What do you mean it's coming to a head?
We've reached critical mass. Critical mass.
Okay. But like, what will we see? What's going to happen? Just the complete collapse of mankind, of society, of technology?
Well, not just, but those are all part of it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, don't you feel it? Don't you see it? We're living it. De-evolution's real. We're in it. Things are coming apart at the seams. And humans are losing their shit.
Right?
Yeah, for real.
Well, there's too many humans. If you want to get right down to it. There's too many humans, and we're devouring the planet faster than it can replenish itself. The planet is trying to retaliate, and this was predicted years ago. I don't know if you ever read The Population Bomb when you were in school, but it was predicted 50 years ago that a virus would save planet Earth from humans.
Almost.
They said the only other possibility was nuclear war, and then all of nature would lose out, and we'd just look like some of our neighboring planets.
Mm-hmm. And we're supposed to just accept this and party on into it.
Well, that's what Jerry says.
Josh, what do you say? Yeah.
Do we have him up here for the rim shots? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
De-evolution, whoa!
I guess Josh Freeze only feels comfortable behind the drums. So I guess that's where he's going to...
It's how he speaks to...
Or up in my cabin.
It's 2023. This year is the 50th anniversary of DEVO.
Well, last night was officially it, yeah. Today is the start of year 51.
Is that last night was actually the night
Yeah.
that DEVO was founded 50 years ago?
That's what Boogie Boy said.
That's what Boogie Boy said, yeah.
It was 50 years ago today that Boogie taught the band.
Right. Boogie never lies.
It seems to me with 50 years, I know for me, whether it's you're talking about being that age personally, or whether you're talking about a band, I think it demands an assessment, a look back, to reassess different moments in the band's history. Do you guys feel that way at all? I don't know what the rumbling is, man. I hope we're not hitting the dock or something.
Abandoned ship. Okay, let's go through it.
So let's just start. I mean, Jerry, in the very beginning, it was you really who started fooling around with the joke of de-evolution.
Yeah, but it was no joke. But no, you're right. It was kind of a smart-ass kind of college pose. But it was more of a literary and art kind of thing, and then the application of music only came when Mark and I hooked up, and we started saying, what would de-evolution music sound like? And that's what started going on in Akron and Kent, Ohio.
Can you explain, and I've never heard you speak on this, what it is about Kent State, the shooting at Kent State in 1970 that inspired the development, the formation of DEVO?
Yeah, it's hard to even describe that for people who haven't lived through it, but we were 19 years old, 20 years old, and believed in the brand of America and freedom and all that, and there was a protest against the expansion of the war in Vietnam into Cambodia without an act of Congress, and that was a big, crisis back then, because people were conversant with the Constitution and knew that was a breach of the branches of government, of the guardrails. And so that's what that protest was about on May 4th, Monday, is to say Nixon shouldn't have done this way. And the National Guard came with live ammunition and shot at all of us. And it was a duck shoot. So the people that died, it was random. And I saw that, and I was in it.
And you were actually there that day.
Yeah, in it.
Yeah.
They shot over our heads, shot at people behind us, and the people behind us are the ones that got killed and wounded. And when you see people shot for real with M1 rifles, it changes you. It's kind of a red pill moment, so to speak, and you never feel the same again. So it was a new world after that. No more hippie liberal Mr. Nice Guy.
Right. It was the end of the 60s and the beginning of the 70s, right?
Yeah, just like Altamont and everything else that happened.
Right.
Everything got ugly really fast.
Yeah. Mark, what do you remember about your first meeting with Jerry?
About the
First meeting, first time you guys connected, and the moment when you realized you were kind of on the same
first time,
spiritual wavelength. Yeah.
I was an artist at Kent State, and I would wait for all the other kids to leave school in the afternoon, and then I had the whole art department to myself. And I was into printmaking, and that meant I could burn a screen, print a color, wash it out, burn another screen, print a color, wash it out. And in one night I could make a piece of art. And I used to make these things on decals, and I post them up all over. There wasn't anything like, like Shepard Fairey posting art. Wasn't, around yet, but I didn't know what I was doing. It was 1969. And Jerry came up to me. I was in an art class doing something, and he said, "Are you the guy putting pictures of astronauts holding potatoes standing on the moon all over campus?" And I go, "Yeah, what of it?" And he goes, "What do potatoes mean to you?" And that was our first conversation.
Wow, what an auspicious moment that was. What do potatoes mean?
Well, we were potatoes. So
Right.
we identified with them.
That was the birth of the Spud?
Spuds, not
Spuds.
leading men, not born with a silver spoon in the mouth. And potatoes are, of course, disrespected and underestimated, but they are the salt of the earth. I mean, they make the world go around. They fed millions of people, kept them from starving for thousands of years, and they have eyes all around. They're quite smart. They see everything, and they conduct electricity too. Did anybody in school ever get to make a clock driven by a potato?
It was the proletariat, yeah.
So spuds, we're all spuds.
Was there a moment when in terms of setting up this band and moving forward with an idea sort of a band founded around this kind of attitude, was there a moment for you guys that happened?
Well, yeah, because it was informing the way we wrote. It was, it was a big kind of.
Well, were you
thesis.
both writing songs before you had met each other? All right. Do we run? That was just Josh. Don't worry about that.
That was the most fun I've had on this whole fucking cruise.
Whoa!
Wait, where were we? What did you say?
Yeah, we were both writing songs. And I don't know, when we started working together, it was like, peanut butter and chocolate or something, One of those things where what we were doing made each other's stuff make sense finally.
Kind of, my people say, beschert. And, okay. Josh, would you
Josh,
with
is that
that
you?
Little wipeout.
Okay, I've done this cruise for 7 years. I've never heard that. I don't know.
Is it behind the screen? Is there somebody back there?
It's the anchor?
That's the anchor? Oh. Does that mean we've arrived? Oh, okay. Well, ding dang darn it.
So I want to move a little forward, and we are going to get a chance for you guys. I know we have a lot of people far away from us up there and stuff, but we'll have some questions, time for questions towards the end. But I wanted to just sort of establish that, so that moment you guys realize that you enjoy working together, that you are in the same insane wavelength, and you move forward with the band.
Wait a minute, we're leaving.
Them, right?
Changed our minds.
This is pretty DEVO.
Is this part of de-evolution right now?
Seems like it.
Yeah.
I thought we weren't docking until 1:30.
It's all.
We're not doing. We're just dragging the anchor across the bottom of the ocean. See if we can catch some shellfish.
Trolling for dollars.
We've got a Korean sub trapped down there.
So let's talk about the very beginnings of the band when you put the band together, and there's a couple of sets of brothers in there.
Yeah.
And what is that dynamic like? I mean, brothers have their own dynamic.
It was helpful. I think. Don't you think?
Yeah, we were lucky because it was a shorthand that goes on with families and brothers in particular,
Yeah.
where you understand each other. And with what we were trying to do, have it being so experimental and so far afield from what anybody thought was cool in music, you needed your brothers to help you because you could have never found just people in your peer group to play the parts that we were asking them to play. They would have said, "You're out of your fucking mind," basically, and this isn't cool. But the brothers understood what we were trying to do, and they were right there doing it with us.
Yeah. And there was a shorthand, like Jerry said. If Jerry said to his brother, "Let's go do a cabin together," his brother knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yes, brothers really helped because the aesthetic was there even on a genetic level. I mean,
And
my brother Bob, that he would play guitar, and he played very basic guitar, good rhythm guitar, but he came up with strange parts, like Satisfaction. He started that song, da 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 da, you know, and he played that part. Nobody was going to play a part like that. It sounded like some kind of mathematical, you know, right, analytical.
It partly happened because of the room we were in felt like it was sub-zero. We were trying to rehearse in this storage room for anchors away,
Anchors away.
Josh, don't leave, man. He's doing that backstage.
Drinks are free and
You have to go and get the other half of the rhythm section, Josh. I don't know if you-
All hands on the poop. Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about the writing process in those early days. With all you have brothers, you have you guys sort of leading the way in terms of the sort of that overall, you know, the gestalt of the band. How did you guys work up songs? You mentioned a cover, maybe not the best thing to talk about. Talk about working up some of those early songs from Are We Not Men?
Well, like Mark alluded to, you know, we only had the most luxurious digs to do this stuff in, like garages with no heat, basements with leaking pipes, and we would just get together and start showing each other ideas. And we both kept notebooks and diaries, and so sometimes things would start alone, sometimes they would start together, but everybody would respond to the things that were the most innovative or the most original, because that was a value that, you know, that was a quality that we valued, which was, if it sounds like other stuff you're already hearing, throw it out, forget it. We actually cared about originality at a time when maybe more people in the world did care about originality in music and art. They don't seem to now. But.
Do you feel that way?
That's not how I feel.
I think that's the reality.
Just look at the evidence.
Go on.
Well, I mean, everything seems like it's produced by, you know, the same two guys in one machine.
You know, if you want, I can hook you guys up with Max Martin or you know, any of the pop songwriters if you're interested.
Well, we're going to let AI determine what we do from now on.
ChatGPT. How come you guys are not using that?
Yeah. We're going to let AI show us what a DEVO song should be. And write the lyrics, too.
It's frighteningly close to a possibility, don't you think? It's
We're
sort
going
of
to do
perfect.
it. We're going to do it.
I don't really know when to take these guys seriously, honestly. I mean, their entire act is like, oh yeah?
You know,
wouldn't
there
you
was a
expect
time early on, we didn't have a place to rehearse. Yeah, if Bob Mothersbaugh was here, we could show you. We used to rehearse our songs a cappella. We'd each do our instrument, just in our voice. I found some old cassettes from like 1973 that it's sad, you know, but it was kind of amazing that we did that. I'm sorry we never. It's too bad. Bob, are you out there? No, he's not. He's like.
Yeah, instead of doo-wop, it was DEVO-wop.
Yeah.
What was, as you obviously were doing things musically that flew in the face of what was happening, especially as you get into the 70s. The 70s, it was, you know, was very different than the 60s. There was a certain kind of music being made. It was, you know, it's the era of the Eagles, you know, and bands like that. And you guys were the antithesis of that.
Well, we were certain that rock and roll was going to be over any day now. Like, we thought, man, it just keeps repeating itself. It's got to be played out by now. So we were interested in sound and vision. Chuck Statler showed us a Popular Science magazine that had a couple on the cover with this silver album. Looked like a record, but it was like a laser disc, and it said, everybody will have laser discs by Christmas. And we thought, that's it. We're going to make product for laser discs.
And that was 1974, and we know what happened.
Well, that's exactly the sort of the idea. The idea that you guys were anti the things that were happening, and yet you somehow, how did it happen that you got a record deal? And you actually, I was working in radio when you guys came out, and we you know, what happened? Why did we play you guys, do you think? No idea?
No, there was that break in the culture where suddenly something new was taking over, and people wanted new energy, and they wanted different messages than they had been receiving. And we were the antidote to the things that had gotten so tired, you know, and so repetitive. And as you know, I mean, what happened with the Sex Pistols then exploded it wide open. MTV comes along 2 years after that, but you have nothing to show, so John Sykes and Bob Pittman come out to Los Angeles and take Mark and I to lunch and say, hey, because we had 5 videos in the can, so to speak. They said, we can't pay you, but we're going to make you big stars.
They said the same thing to me.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. And so at first, before you went national, they were playing DEVO day and night in the 3 cities that they were in, because we've comprised about 60% of the programming, and then things quickly exploded and morphed from there.
What effect do you think MTV had on the band, and the fact, I mean, you're going to say that it made you bigger, and you probably suddenly were famous in a way that you didn't like. Am I close on that?
I liked it.
Yeah. Did you, Mark? Did you?
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you're at a restaurant and you're about to have some soup, and someone, hey, hi, how are you? That was cool with you guys?
Well, it actually helped me get into restaurants.
Right. Get a good table.
Yeah, but yeah, no, seriously, MTV, of course, at first, because what we were doing was multimedia art. That's what we thought we were doing. There was no such word as music video, and we were making film shorts that was an integral part of the idea of the song. That's what we did on purpose for ourselves, with no idea where we would even show it. We thought maybe we could show it at film festivals. With MTV, we had a medium that would show what we did, and then it made it clear to everybody what we were thinking and who we were. And then you add Saturday Night Live to that, and overnight we went from some tiny little cult in Ohio to national prominence.
You guys were on Saturday Night Live the week after the Rolling Stones,
Yeah.
and you were doing Satisfaction.
Yes,
Right.
we did the update.
Yeah, people thought that was really cheeky, as they say. I know that through third parties that Jan Wenner had an animus towards DEVO from that moment on, because obviously the Rolling Stones were his, holy grail, and he thought our version of Satisfaction was making fun of it. And that's clearly not the case at all. Mark and I love that song.
Yeah, it's the best rock song ever made.
Yeah, it was an ultimate, and we had the balls to cover it, but our cover was not meant to be disrespectful at all. As a matter of
Mick
fact,
Jagger said it was his favorite cover of that song.
right? We
That's
had to get permission from him. Yeah,
Right, we had to meet him, because back in those days, they had different laws for doing covers that weren't exact.
right. They took intellectual property seriously, and since we changed everything about that song, we had to get permission from him as one of the co-writers, and from his publishing company, to be even allowed to put it on our record. And we were nervous, frankly, when we went to play it for him. but he danced around like Mick Jagger listening to it and said, I like it. We were all, vindicated. We went back to Los Angeles, told our manager, Elliot Roberts, Mick liked it. And he just rolled his eyes and said, of course he did. I called Peter Rudge 2 days before you guys got there, and I told him to tell Mick to say that he liked it because you guys were going to make the Stones a shitload of money. That was our manager, and that was the business. He taught us a lot of lessons.
Well, you mentioned Jan Wenner. Mark, what is your favorite bad review?
Favorite bad review?
Rolling Stone definitely had a couple of scathing reviews.
Well, I think the Rolling Stone magazine first review of the first album was pretty good. They call this rock and roll. Like, we never called it rock and roll, first off. But they also said, there's songs that don't even have guitars on them. They were total disgust.
Yeah, he really had it in for us, all because of Satisfaction. But there were more. I think my favorite bad review was the big LA rock critic. Was it Robert Christgau?
Rob Christgau. Rob Christgau.
Yeah, where everyone lived in fear of him, and he reviewed our tour where we were had the rear projection screens behind us with characters on the screens in sync with our live music, and he just said, Devo, if I want rock and roll, I go see rock and roll. If I want to play video games, I go to an arcade. Play rock and roll or stay at home. That was it. Like, okay. Like everything we did is what every band would do starting about 5 or 7 years later.
Yeah, because for us it was those kind of reviews. We let them make us stronger. We were kind of like, oh yeah.
What's this? So through the 80s, the 80s certainly were sort of a pinnacle for you guys. Big records, big singles. And one of the big stories that I recall, and I'm going to ask you to tell me if it's true or not. Whip It, of course, if all MTV fans here know, Whip It was a massive, massive song for us on MTV. Yeah. And it also, because it inspired massive success, massive new fans who didn't really get the DEVO ethos, you wound up on the next record doing another song in response to that. Am I close on this? Through Being Cool?
Through Being Cool, yes. Well, it wasn't really a direct response, but what it was is we were saying that we are not going to now be a cookie cutter band where we're just going to make some more whippets, because we were interested in experimentation and moving forward with new sounds, new ideas, and we felt, we've been there, done that on Freedom of Choice. We're looking at some new ideas now. And, that doesn't make a record company happy.
Yeah. They want you to do what you did last time that worked. Yeah.
But the video for the song gave us a chance to recycle the log cabin, the fake log cabin we had made for Whip It. So there's one scene where we're leaning out waving.
So that's what. So the idea was to repurpose old.
Basically, yeah.
Well, we didn't call our publishing company Recombinant for nothing. We believed in that kind of postmodern, deconstruction where you take things and take them apart and reorder them and show somebody a new aspect of them. That's what we were doing on purpose.
Circuit bending before there was a name.
Okay. So as the 80s, so I'm wrong on through being cool, being a sort of response to the fans who joined the crowd without understanding the ethos. Not the case.
Not really. Not really. I wish I could say yes, Mark.
Okay. It's better that way. I was sort of disappointed that here you do a great song that a lot of people vibe to, and I thought, well, God, how do you say to those people, you know, don't come in, we don't really want you here, you know? That's what always weirded me out about that. I'm glad to hear that that was not in fact the case.
No, yeah. On the other hand, Beautiful World from that record kind of gobsmacked everybody. So, and that got radio play, oddly enough, and yeah. But it just wasn't a message.
Poquito. Poquito play.
Which is better than none. You know?
Right. Jerry, you said, I hope I get this quote right, DEVO were pioneers and we got scalped.
Yep.
What did you mean by that?
The same thing as I was talking about with Robert Christgau. We would
your new bass player?
we would do something and get lambasted and viciously attacked for it, and then anywhere from 3 to 5 years later, everybody would be doing it. And they would get immense credit and millions of dollars for it. And that just kept happening to us.
Who do you think are your children musically? You know, who are the people that you think sparked DEVO when they were 12 or whatever and wound up
Josh
years
Freese.
later?
Yeah, Josh. Yeah.
What about Josh?
Josh Hager.
Me. Josh, when was the first time that you heard DEVO?
Just about anybody named Josh, actually.
Why? Yeah.
It was on Saturday Night Live, or Fridays, I can't remember. I think it was Saturday Night Live, yeah.
Fridays.
TV.
Uh-huh. And where were you? Were you in Ohio? Where were you?
No, I was, at the time, I think it was in Long Island.
Okay. And your thought was?
It just fried something.
How old were you?
I was 7.
Oh, damn. So you really messed this kid up. You guys.
Right. We won't all be 80 at the same time.
Fair enough. So you guys can go on like Menudo.
Let's keep going.
That would be nice.
There'll be some 80s, some 70s, and some 60s, all kind of mixed together.
So Josh, for you, when you've been with them since 14, I think? Am I right?
Yeah, almost
2014?
9 years, almost 10 years.
And what was it for you on those early days? Did you audition?
Sort of. I just showed up and played, and they were like,
I'm going to ask you how you got into the band, and then these guys can weigh in and agree or disagree.
Well, I knew them already from Something for Everybody. My brother was engineering, and I came in and did a little bit of work on that.
It's that brother thing again.
Well, explain who your brother is.
Paul David Hager. He's a mix engineer, live sound engineer.
For you.
One of the best. One of the best.
Yeah, he
If
does.
you had anything good or bad to say about the way it sounded out in the hall last night, it's his brother you
Tell
can
Paul.
talk to.
But he's like Miley Cyrus and Beck and St. Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
He's got quite the resume.
We don't hold it against him.
What is it like for you every night playing this stuff?
It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
No, it's great. It's great. I have to pinch myself sometimes.
And I don't know where Josh, the other Josh, went.
Yeah, I didn't realize
Just
he was-
completely bailed out.
he got tired of rim shots.
Yeah,
huh?
he's already moving on.
Well, it's because you guys, the reason I wanted to talk to both of you, because you have the rhythm section at this point.
So we were so lucky to get Josh once Alan left us. And Josh Freese learned the complete Freedom of Choice record in his garage when he was 12. And when we were rehearsing for the first time with him, he would correct us on our songs, saying, "No,
Yeah.
you don't do that there. You did it like this." It was great. He was like an encyclopedia of DEVO.
Yeah. And to this day, watch tonight if you're here. Watch him. You'll see all of us at different times. Look over him and like, and he goes, "No." Then we'll look at him and then he starts to.
And can we just reference for a second the bass drum with Isaac?
Yeah.
Now, those are the Love Boat characters, but as I understand it, that's not for this cruise, right? You didn't just come up with this for the '80s cruise.
You know, Josh has a very Devo aesthetic, and he can explain why he chose that image.
Oh, I see. Josh went out to get coffee.
Well, you know, he knew about the anchors, so he had to go talk to the captain.
Well, you left, so we take your microphone away. You don't get to keep the microphone. Yes.
I've had that bass. I had it made about 4 or 5 years. I get 2 of them. I had the bass drum head made about 4 or 5 years ago because I've got. Speaking of the '80s, I've got a bit of a '80s infatuation with Judy Landers.
Yeah.
BJ and the Bear, Solid Gold, Love Boat, Madam's Place, and I do a lot of weird art stuff, right? And so I'll Google image search things, and that was just a random shot I liked that had nothing to do with anything really, other than her and Isaac popping a bottle of champagne. I don't know if you can see that, but it's spilling over his hands, and it's a bit suggestive, and it's a bit confusing, and so it's one of the many kick drum heads I had made because I just liked the look of it. And then someone reminded me the other day, they said, "Oh, we're doing the cruise. You should put that thing with Isaac up there." And I went, "Perfect idea." So there you go. Why is it Judy Landers on this?
Short story long.
Long story longer.
So Josh, you've been with the band since '96 ish.
Yeah.
Right?
Ish.
Ish. And that's not to say nonstop. You've done a couple of other things during that time.
Right. Well, the problem is sometimes when doing what I do, playing drums for a living, and when Devo would have a year off or a big chunk of time between things, I'd have to go to my day job with a different band, and so once in a while I have to miss something. If they say, "Hey, we have one show May 13th," I'd be like, "God, I'm in the middle of a 3-month tour somewhere trying to feed my ever-growing family." I have 4 kids.
Oh boy.
So anyways, yeah, once in a while I have to miss something, but it's like, you know, for me, I was actually just thinking about it this morning, not to get all like serious and heavy and shit, but you know, Devo has been one of my favorite bands, if not my favorite band, since I was about 8 or 9 years old. And I said to go, you know what, it's like playing with Devo is, for me, one of my greatest successes. I've got friends that are these multi-millionaire.
Have you played in other bands?
I have played in other bands, but they're not my favorite bands.
Played in other bands.
Have you guys ever looked his resume up online?
Oh damn. Josh Freeze.
When we started working, I remember saying something to Mark. I'm actually a drum escort, and that's the name of my company.
Well, he helps us make it through the set, so.
That's actually literally the name of my corporation. I'm incorporated. It's Drum Escort Inc. Because the big joke used to be, "You're such a drum slut. You're such a drum whore." And I go, I'm a little more sophisticated than that.
Well,
Drum Escort.
You betted the best. You betted the best.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, 9 Inch Nails, right?
The Vandals.
Yeah, Perfect Circle. I mean, it goes on and on. It's insane. He's the Zelig of drum escorts. He only touches the best. Do you care to say anything about your newest day job?
Well, I was going to ask about that, Jerry. Thank you.
So, well, I played a long time with Sting, right?
Yeah, that's not the one I was going to ask
Which
about.
for me is fun because I'm a big Stuart Copeland fan. I grew up a big Stuart Copeland fan. But
Josh,
yes.
hi. You played at the Taylor Hawkins tribute
I did.
with the Foo Fighters,
Yes, I did.
which was pretty. A lot of us saw that. I mean, playing for the Foo Fighters with Dave Grohl. How nervous were you that day?
You know, it's funny. I was nervous in the way that it was such a monumental kind of event. And I knew Taylor for about 25 years, but it wasn't until like the last 5-6 years that we became buddies. So to be there also, I had so many drummer friends that were there. They were great drummers. Stuart Copeland, Omar Hakim, Brad Wilk, Chad Smith, Pat Wilson. The list goes on and on and on. So to be able to be there, be part of that for him was special and cool. And the whole thing was so abrupt and weird that it was sort of surreal doing both those shows. So I wasn't so much nervous. I'll tell you the only thing I was really nervous about, this is kind of making the whole thing a little lighter, but I played with Wolfgang Van Halen and Dave Grohl played bass, and we played Hoffer Teacher, right, which is a tricky drum thing, and I'm not a great double bass drummer. And so we're about to play Wembley Stadium for like 80,000 people, and 2 days before it, Wolfgang says to me, God, are you nervous about Saturday? I'm really nervous. And I'm like, huh? He goes, oh yeah, I feel like I'm gonna get up there in front of 80,000 people and my hands are gonna lock up. I went, no, I'm not. God, should I be nervous? And then Taylor's son, who's 15, Shannon, an awesome drummer,
Also
and
amazing
very
drummer.
15, comes up to me and goes, man, Josh, you got balls. You're gonna go play Hoffer Teacher in a stadium? What are you, crazy? And I'm like, fuck, shut up. Now you guys are making me freaked out. Now I am nervous. And my wife's upstairs watching Beetlejuice right now, but she can attest to you that I'm sitting in the hotel room like practicing like just the balance of doing the double bass thing and then shuffle, and I'm sitting on the edge of the bathtub with the door shut with headphones in going and not fucking up trying to concentrate. Just, God damn, play that stupid song. Anyways, there's another longer for you, Mark. I can talk all fucking day.
He's played with us
Set
set
it up.
I remember you calling me up one night and going, right now, I'm in a sleeping bag with a Diet Coke, a Pepsi, a Diet Pepsi, and a root beer and a Sprite that have all been set in front of me by Billy Gibbs.
ZZ Top.
I'm working with a ZZ Top guy writing something.
Now that's a really fucking
Billy
I got a lot
Gibbons.
of weird stories. That's a really fucking weird story. And it involves me being kind of forced to go take a nap in a sleeping bag in front of him and his wife, Gilligan. My children's lives, this is a true story.
Well, did this have anything to do with their song Sleeping Bag?
Well, the time I spent, Billy's the coolest guy. Really, really cool guy.
You've heard the ZZ Top song, Sleeping Bag, right?
That's what, yeah.
He had a sleeping bag in his dining room, and there was a
Good song.
There was a period in 2009 where I was writing some music with him. I met him through a mutual friend and got along great with him because he's a nutty, eccentric, cool guy. And I went over to his place 2 or 3 times, and there's always the sleeping bag in between. There was the couch, the coffee table, the television, and in between the coffee table and the television was a sleeping bag. I never asked any questions, but I'm like, okay, he's got a sleeping bag. He's got this beautiful home in Beverly Hills. There's a fucking sleeping bag in the middle of his living room. And then one day we were gonna go to some event at A&M Record, their studios that night, which is now the Henson lot. And it was about 5 p.m. and I live an hour away down in Long Beach. And I was going, God, that thing's not for another 4 or 5 hours. And I'm sitting on the couch watching like CNN or something with him and his wife, that sounds weird, just that alone. And he goes, yeah, man, he goes, we gotta wait, we got a while still, why don't you take a nap? And I'm like, because here's the thing, he was kind of dozing off on the couch. It was like late afternoon, and I was sitting there going, this is kind of strange. So I look over and he's kind of dozing off. So I don't know if he was embarrassed he was dozing off in front of me. He was like, oh man, just go down and take a nap. I'm like, oh, no, it's okay. No, get down there.
This was earlier this year, actually.
This is only the other day, though. It was like 10 years ago, So I go, okay. And I go down, I get in a sleeping bag, and his wife and him are watching the news.
You left your clothes on, didn't you?
I kept my clothes on. No, he goes, you gotta take your clothes off.
Oh, okay.
I leave the lights on.
My beard will cover you.
Yeah, I texted Mark and said, I've got all these weird sodas that were like lined up for me by Billy, and then I texted my friend that runs Henson, and I go, are you gonna be there tonight? Because I'm coming in for some event, like with Billy Gibbons at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. She goes, yeah, where are you now? I go, I'm sleeping in a sleeping bag in his living room in front of him and his wife. She's like, what are you talking about? I go, I swear to God.
Jerry and Mark both. This is a new rhythm section. And how did that change the band for you guys? How did that, there's a vibe, playing with each other on stage. Was there something that changed for you? Obviously it's been a lot of years.
I was just relieved. I was relieved. It's like I thought, Alan's gone. That's it. We can't ever get close to that music again. And I was wrong, because Josh Freese did it.
And up in our staterooms, we have sleeping bags, all of us, on the floor.
Oh yeah, that, yeah.
So I mentioned at the top, 50th anniversary.
Yes.
You have this gig? I know that you guys still play live. Are we looking at the 50th anniversary tour here?
Well, yeah, there will be 2023 50th anniversary themed live shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, year 51 starts tonight. So here we go.
So farewell tours? Is it a farewell tour or is it an anniversary tour?
Welfare tour.
It's a welfare tour.
Yeah. Well, you never know when it's going to be farewell. Well could be farewell. But definitely it's an anniversary for sure.
But it's not, I guess the reason I'm asking that is because it's not as though you two in particular don't have a few things going on outside of the band. Both of you have careers outside of the band, commercial careers, Mark scoring and,
Yeah.
So, it would be sort of not a retirement, but rather a transition. If in fact it were the case that this would be a farewell tour.
Well, there's that DEVO AI tour.
All right.
Where you're going to go, are they really singing those stupid lyrics that robot wrote for them?
So the anniversary tour, it's the 50th anniversary tour. What kinds of things do you have planned? Are you going to do sort of different dates where you're going to play an album in full, or are you going to bring back old costumes, or what's the multimedia project for the 50th anniversary tour?
Yeah, you put me on the spot, because we already do all those things that you brought up.
Yeah, I know. What are we going to? I guess it's like wheelchairs.
Maybe wheelchairs, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think we're just going to show people that we can, to use a phrase from an artist named Raymond Pettibone, we can still fill a spoon.
And it is a welfare tour, yeah.
So won't you help? Won't you join them on their welfare tour?